So for social studies, I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible for you. There's really not a lot of choices. Like Mr. Osik said, we strongly recommend that kids take 4 years of social studies. Part of the reason why is because if your child decides to switch to the multidisciplinary plan and they haven't taken world geography as a freshman, they're going to have to go back and take that. World geography typically is a freshman level class. I'm pretty sure that your child does not want to be a junior or a senior sitting in a class full of freshmen. So we strongly recommend it. Several universities, colleges still also recommend that they take 4 years of social studies. General plan that kids follow. They take world geography as a freshman, world history as a sophomore, U.S. history has to be taken at the junior level. That's not an option. U.S. history also has an end of course exam that students have to pass in order to be able to graduate. Okay. And then their senior year, there's 2 courses, they're semester-long courses. You have U.S. government and then economics. Okay, so that's the general plan that students are going to follow for social studies. Pretty easy. The big choice that you're going to have to make is whether or not you want your student to be taking, or they want to be taking, an AP class or if they want to be taking a level class. Okay. Social studies is the only one that does not offer any pre-AP options. So as a freshman, they are going to have to choose whether or not they're taking AP Human Geography or they're taking level World Geography. Okay. There are big differences between those 2 courses. And if you look on the packet that you received when you walked in, I think it's the very last page, it kind of highlights the difference between AP Human Geography and level World Geography. Okay. Big thing for AP Human Geography, it is an AP course, which means that they will have the option to take an AP exam at the beginning of May, and if they earn a qualifying score, they have the potential to earn college credit as a freshman in high school. Okay, it is a very rigorous exam, just the class is very rigorous to prepare them for that as well. Okay, the state just made a new law to where if you earn a qualifying score of 3 or higher on an AP exam and you're going to an in-state school, then you're going to get college credit. Now what your college counts it for will depend on that university or college. Okay, so it may only count as an elective. Also, something to realize with AP Human Geography is we teach the course over a year, okay, but if they earn a qualifying score on their AP exam, they're only going to earn a semester of college credit. Okay, it really is a semester class that we've just stretched out over a year. Okay, AP Human Geography, it is a different course than World Geography, but we do teach the TEKS, which is the standards that the state says you have to teach in order to earn credit for that class. So they will get a geography credit whether or not they take AP Human Geography or not. Okay. Big thing is there's some kind of pros and cons to offering an AP class to freshmen. One is it's the only AP option they have, so they can really focus on that one test if they're going to take it. Okay. Bad thing is that it's a college level class that we're asking 15-year-olds to take. So if there is not a strong desire or a strong interest in geography, you may not want to put your kid in that class. Okay. Let me also say this. AP Human Geography, if you look on this route here, is not a prerequisite for any of the other AP classes. So if you decide to not take AP Human Geography, that does not mean that you can't take AP World History as a sophomore. So those options are available. One does not, you don't have to take one in order to be able to take the other. Okay, and I taught geography for several years, and several of my level World Geography students transitioned to AP World History without an issue. Okay, some of the kids actually didn't take any AP classes until they hit their junior year and then took AP US History, and they did fine. Okay, so just so you know, if you're a little hesitant about it and you want to not choose that for your freshmen, that doesn't mean that they can't take AP classes later on. Okay. We do offer a lot of elective courses for social studies, so if they decide to take that endorsement and go with the social studies route, we have a bunch of classes to offer. Those are offered for juniors and seniors, so you don't really have to worry about it right now, although you're making your whole 4-year plan, so I'll talk a little bit about them. We have psychology, AP, and level. Sociology is just a level class. AP European History is an AP class, okay? We don't have personal dynamics this year. We have had it in the past. Just depends on interest whether or not we'll offer that course again. And then college transitions class is a dual credit class that helps students kind of bridge the gap between high school and college. So again, these are only for juniors and seniors, any of those elective offerings, okay?
So fine arts is really divided into 2 different categories. We have the open enrollment courses for freshmen, and then we have courses that require some type of either an audition or a recommendation. So on your left-hand side, we've got the open enrollment classes. There's Theater 1, Technical Theater 1, and the difference between those two, Theater 1 focuses on the performance aspects of theater, while Technical Theater 1 deals with everything that happens backstage. So they're learning lighting, sound, costumes, props, publicity, the whole 9 yards. There's an Art 1 class, a Choir 1 class, and a Dance 1 class. So those do not require any type of audition whatsoever. On the right-hand side, those all require some type of audition. We don't have the correct PowerPoint up because I added one to that. But that's okay, I'll talk about it anyway. There's Band 1, that's an audition that is required. The band directors go to the middle schools, and they have auditions there, and they determine whether students are going to be in, what band specifically they're going to be in. And that's the same situation with orchestra. Phillies, there's a tryout that happens here on our campus in the spring semester. I'm sure that information will be well publicized also. So the advanced art class is a teacher recommendation class, so that their art class in middle school, I believe that they put some sort of a portfolio together, but that is something that I would highly recommend, that if your child is in art in the 8th grade right now and is interested in being in an advanced art class, when they get here, that they communicate with their teacher, start talking about teacher recommendations, etc. The one that's not up here is our new class. It's a Technical Theater, Advanced Technical Theater 1 class. And that Advanced Technical Theater 1 class also needs to come with a teacher recommendation from obviously their middle school theater classes. The JV acting class is the last one, and that is an audition-based class. I will go over probably in March probably, and have conversation with those middle school students there, talking about the process, giving them an audition form. They can fill that out. Lots of questions get asked and answered at that point in time. And I promised that I would mention this. We have a fantastic, and this is not part of fine arts, but we have a fantastic junior ROTC program here. This started in 2009. And from 2009 to present day, they've given away $6.7 million, or the students have earned $6.7 million in scholarships. It takes care of a PE credit also. And those gentlemen are fantastic. Captain Pish and Master Chief Banks are wonderful men that really are fantastic role models. So if that's something that your children are interested in, I would highly recommend that as well. I will also be downstairs. Master Chief Banks is downstairs as well, so you can track him down when you're all done today. Okie doke?
Did you mention the credit for dance?
Yes. If you're in Dance 1, Phillies 1, or 1 semester of band, right?
Well, Dance 1.
Dance 1 and Phillies 1 is a full year of PE credit. So you kind of knock out 2 at 1, right? Fine arts credit and PE credit. Band, you only get 1 semester of PE credit. But if the student is in band their first year and then band again their second year because they're out there marching so much, that takes care of a PE credit there. So, but they'd have to be in band for 2 years, and both of them, it's just a fall semester only.
These are the classes that are available to your freshmen coming in, or not. American Sign Language, you cannot take that until the 10th grade. One of the reasons why is because it sounds really cool, and if they let freshmen take sign language, the teacher would have 6 classes of ASL 1, and she would never be able to teach anything else. One thing I would like to say, I mean, if your student is really interested in American Sign Language, that's great. Maybe they want to be an interpreter. Maybe they want to be able to speak to somebody who's deaf. There's this, I think this rumor is starting to die off, but a lot of people think, oh yeah, American Sign Language, you don't have to conjugate a verb or learn any kind of grammar. It's a blow-off. And that is absolutely wrong. Our ASL teacher is phenomenal. Her name is Amber Krugman. And a lot of students get in there, and she's on the other, I teach on the other side of a door from her, and she works those kids. They are constantly working, and a lot of kids are really caught off guard. Oh, I thought this was going to be a blow-off. So they should be prepared if they want to take ASL. For French, you can have French 1 or French 2. French 2 pre-AP should actually be up there as well, because French is now being offered to 8th graders. That started last year. And actually, if anybody out there have a 7th grader? If you have a 7th grader, German probably is going to be offered next year to 8th graders. They'll get to come to this campus first period and then go back. We're working on it, and it looks like it's going to turn out okay. For Spanish, this may seem surprising, but freshmen, a 13 or 14-year-old freshman could actually be in Spanish 4 AP. Those are kids that started in the Spanish immersion program. I'm not sure all of the elementary schools that offer that. And so one thing about foreign language that is fantastic, there are a lot of dual credit courses offered here at Kingwood, but the foreign language dual credit courses really offer the most bang for your buck. At the end of the second year, French, German, and Spanish, not ASL, the kids can take a placement exam through Lone Star. If they score high enough on that test, when they go into the third year, they can be in the dual credit class. And after they pass the third level, they get those 3 credits, college credits of that foreign language. But then all they have to do is sign a little piece of paper requesting the retroactive credit for the first year and second year, and those are 4 credit courses over at Lone Star. So essentially, after they pass their third year of French, German, or Spanish, they have 11 college credits through Lone Star. And then if they go into the 4th year, you're talking about kids graduating with 14 college hours of a foreign language, which, I mean, that's basically a semester. And you know how expensive UT, A&M, and all these schools are now. That is a lot of money, and it's going to cost you like $150. Does anybody, I'm just curious, does anybody have a student in Spanish 2 right now in 8th grade? Nobody does here? No? Okay. Because you're going to want to pay attention in a couple of weeks, maybe you're going to be contacted by somebody on this campus about getting over to Lone Star to take that test. The other thing I'll say about all of these languages, all of these languages have clubs. I'm the sponsor of the German club. It's a very active club. We do a lot of fun stuff. If your kid's taking Spanish, German, French, American Sign Language, there are all these clubs. We do lots of fun stuff. And I really feel like the languages here really enrich the experience. I mean, there are kids, believe it or not, and there's a parent sitting back there. I mean, her son is our star folk dancer for the German club. And he competes. Good. Yeah, he's really good. You can ask Dr. Landry, who tried to learn from him, how to folk dance. But I mean, the French has a great club, Spanish has a good club, the ASL club is now up and running, and so there's a lot of fun stuff for the kids to do. The other thing we do is we work very closely with the Rotary Club. This year we have a couple of students who are studying in Germany and elsewhere. Next year we have 6 students who are going to do an academic year in foreign high schools. We got 2 kids going to Germany, 1 to Belgium, 1 to France, 1 to Argentina, 1 to Italy. She's going to be in Milan, Italy. And it's the president of the German club who's going to Argentina. But they can't all go to Germany. So if you have any questions about any of these languages, any of the classes, dual credit, I will be down in the cafeteria.
Really, we need about a 2-hour session here to go over all this stuff, but I'm just going to go over it real quick and kind of just piggyback on what the counselors were talking to you guys about. I'm the department head of the Career and Technology. I'm also a basketball coach here, a graduate of Kingwood High School, and I also teach the Advanced AV program and the AV program along with Anisha Varani. So what I really want to tell you about is we have a lot of exciting things from ag down there to auto tech to business management and administration to finance to manufacturing to education to hospitality. What it really comes down to It's a great opportunity for your kids to jump in and get into a career early, a career path, or a career exploration early. What we have here is we have cutting edge technology. The equipment we have, the stuff that we use is unbelievable in terms of what the kids are exposed to. And really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you an example of one of these, which is what I teach. Let's go to the next slide there. I teach in the Arts, AV, and Technology cluster. This is what all of the clusters, if you go and you look on the website, you'll find something that looks like this. This is the actual cluster. So if you go in here, a student can specialize in AV production, fashion design, printing, imaging, and technology, and graphic design. And then they can work their way through their endorsement or through their pathway. So I have, for example, we have Miss Verani has kids that are freshmen taking AV1, and then as they progress on with all our career and technology classes, they can take classes that are actually the advanced classes for 2 hours there and there, and then they move on to something called a practicum, where they're actually working at businesses. They're at school for 1 hour, and then after school they have like 10 or 15 hour minimum that they have to meet after school, or we're doing some sort of lab-based training. But it's a great way for them to really dive in and see what things are like. I'll give you guys a couple of examples. We have a kid, a former basketball player, manager that's at Oklahoma State. He was in my class. He went to Oklahoma State. He went in, he worked at Turner Stadium here, and he went in and said, hey, I want to see if I can work at the Oklahoma State T. Boone Pickens place. He goes in, the professor, the head of the whole department, says, okay, do a little editing for me, do a little this or that. And they said, well, you're like where our senior students are. How'd you learn all this stuff? What's the deal? Well, he got it all here. He got that early training here. And then on the flip side, my daughter is a junior in college. She went to Kingwood here as well. She took my video classes, then she went and majored in business, and she went and took accounting and struggled big time. And we have the state UIO accounting team last year. So, you know, had she been, her thought process, maybe her dad had been a little bit smarter and gotten the right classes, but you know, it's a great way. If your kid knows they want to go into healthcare, our healthcare program is great. All our programs are great. If you have kids where you say, I'm not real sure about what they want to do in college, but they're really interested in cars, we have a great auto tech program, construction technology, where the kids get hands-on experience doing construction work and stuff like that. So not enough time to go through all this. Make sure you sit down with your kids. The big thing is, coming up here in a few weeks, we're going to bring all the middle school kids over to Kingwood High School during the day. We're going to bus them over. So the kids are going to come over. You guys are going to get a piece of paper, and it's going to say like arts, AV, and then they're going to have jobs, TV producer, marketing, blah, blah, blah. Then there's going to be public service, and it's going to have criminal justice, police officer. So sit down with your kids and say, which one of these three things or three of these things interest you? And then the kids are going to come over here during the day, and they're going to have an opportunity to visit our classrooms, and we'll put on a little presentation for them. So it's really a good experience for them to see what's going on here and see what we have in the classroom. So that's career and technology. Again, I could spend a couple hours talking about it. But we have great support from the administration here at Kingwood, making sure we have cutting-edge technology. We also have great support from the community and industry to make sure that we're up to date and we're doing the right thing. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be out in the Commons. They can stop by and talk to me about any of those other clusters that were up there or the process or how things move along. But now I'm going to turn it over to athletics.
Quick, before
Yes.
you leave, can you tell them where to find the information on our CATE classes?
The best source for the information, if you go to the Humble ISD, it's the Humble ISD Career and Technical Education web pages on the main Humble ISD website, and you'll see it there. You click in, and then they'll have these clusters, and then what you'll do is you'll click on the clusters, and it'll talk about all the ag, you know, as you go along, and it'll give you click on different subsections there, and you could see the endorsements that you want to that they want to go through. So the unfortunate part about it is within each one of these, the number of courses that are actually offered, we don't offer all of them just simply because we can't, but we have new ones coming on board every day. We have a new one that I would like to take if I could sign up, real estate. So we'll have a real estate course where we have an actual teacher who's a realtor, and she'll be teaching the course. And you know, from what I understand, the kids would be able to probably leave as a senior and go out and just take the test and get their license and go out and be do real estate. So there's always new, we're developing apps. The information technology guys are doing apps, they're doing gaming design. So, I mean, you name it, but that's where you can find it down at the bottom. And if anybody has any questions, you could see me in the comments, but I'll turn it over to the coaches here. One of my, Coach Barrett here and Coach Thomas. And
I'm Coach Thomas. I'm the assistant athletic coordinator here and also the head basketball coach. And this is, go ahead.
I'm Bob Barrett. I'm the assistant head football coach here. Coach Campbell can't be here tonight, our athletic coordinator. He's in San Antonio. We've got a player that's playing in the Army All-American game on Saturday. You can watch him at noon on NBC. And so he's over in San Antonio with him.
What you'll find here is a list of all of our varsity coaches for each sport. You should see, if your daughter or your son are going to go into any of this sport, the head coach listed. We will have summer camps this summer. I know like the boys basketball camp, it's the first week we get out of school. Girls basketball is the second week. I think volleyball is either at the end of June or somewhere into July. Probably one of the most important things you need to get out of tonight is that we encourage all of our athletes to play multiple sports. The majority of the kids in my program don't just play basketball, they play volleyball, they run track. I have a few softball players. On my varsity basketball team right now, I have 2 softball players, and I'll have several that I'll encourage to go run track when we're done. So we just encourage, especially their freshman year, just to try to play as many sports as you can. Being a freshman, you really don't know what you're going to be the best at yet, or really what your love is until you experience it all. So we just encourage them to play as many as they can. I'll let Coach Barrett talk about their summer program.
Okay? It's one of the camps that we would really like for all of your kids that are in athletics to sign up for is our strength and conditioning camp. Our strength and conditioning camp runs pretty much all summer. It's a 6-week camp. And the kids come in the morning, 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. I'm in charge of that, and it's a highlight for all of our athletes, and I do mean all of our athletes, boys and girls. We want all of them in there. It is not a sport-specific football thing, and they spend an hour outside during the day doing conditioning work. They spend an hour in the weight room learning to lift. With your group, we're basically teaching them to lift properly. They don't get great large jumps in strength during this with your group, because basically what we're doing at that time is we're teaching them to lift properly so that the rest of the 4 years while they're here, they're lifting properly. And we do get a little gains in strength, but not tremendous, because like I said, we're spending so much time with basics. But we do want them involved in that strength and conditioning camp for the summer. And that's, like I said, Monday through Thursdays, 2 hours a day. It's a great camp for a little bit of money for what you pay to go anywhere else to get the kids any kind of training. And then they're up here with their friends and their future teammates, because most of them are coming from 2 different schools, and they're integrating in with kids that they're getting to learn to meet for the first time that are going to be their teammates for the next 4 years. So we're really big on that.
A huge plus is it runs straight into volleyball and football season. So if your son or daughter hasn't been running or lifting the majority of the summer, send them to this so that way they can get in shape and also get acclimated to the heat. That's probably one of the biggest things for football players, to get out there and get acclimated. An important thing is turning in physicals. Either getting them before we leave for school when we have our physical night. I would say that's your best bet, because no paperwork is exchanged at all. You guys fill the paperwork out. The physicals are done and they go straight to the trainers. So you don't have to worry about it. It is really difficult to try to get your physical turned in during the summer and get it cleared and checked off, especially if you're a football player and you're trying to be ready for the first day, or you're a volleyball player. Girls basketball, we start working out on the very first day of school. So I expect them to have their physicals already turned in and be ready to go. So that's your best bet, because you don't have to worry about, we get a list of names of all the kids that have their physicals turned in, and they'll be ready to go.
And they cannot practice at all without that physical. So when, like a football player, volleyball starts before school starts, they will not be able to participate at all. No practices, no anything without a physical on file.
All sports, yeah.
All sports.
Even if they're not in season.
Even not in
right.
season, they'll go into athletic period. They need to be for that first day to be able to go.
How will we be notified when that night is to determine
The junior high, the junior highs will send an email out, and I know one year they were bussed over in the
Yeah.
morning,
They try
and
to
they had
bus
their
them over.
physicals in the morning. And if not, I think we go all the way after school up until 6 o'clock. We do physicals from 3 to 6 p.m. that day. So if they can't do it during the day, then they come over after school and get it done. A good place to go to, all sports have websites, so go to websites for any camp information. And also, you'll find the head coach's email address if you have any questions to get in contact with them.
Everybody, my name is Lauren Curbo, and I am the academic lead teacher for the English department here at Kingwood High School. And as you can see, English is really pretty straightforward, really all 4 years, all right? We have 3 main courses that we offer at the freshman level. They are Level, Pre-AP, and GT, all right? Let me start by saying that all of our English courses are college prep, okay? We have a large emphasis on their reading skills and their writing skills, okay? At the level for freshman level English, they will study selected stories and dramas, novels, poetry, and nonfiction. Again, though, we will be focusing on writing. This is an EOC course, so we will be looking at the expository essays, reading expository pieces, and getting them ready for that end of course exam. We will also be focusing on short answers with the freshmen and through their reading and writing, revising, and editing, all right? Your pre-AP course, the pre-AP course, the main focus really is to prepare them for the AP courses at the English level, which occur at their junior year and their senior year. All right, we have AP Lang and we have AP Lit. So the pre-AP course is to get them ready for that. All right, our GT program, we have 2 levels of GT, freshman and sophomore. And then after sophomore year, we highly encourage them to move into the AP realm. All right, but you will see that there's a heavy emphasis on independent inquiry, thinking, and learning. Again, they must have completed their GT testing in order to be eligible for the GT class. All right, in your packet, your stapled packet, you will see that I've put together a more in-depth description of each of our courses that we offer. All right, you will notice at level that I have put the anchor pieces on there, and I've attached the writing component with each of those pieces. Those pieces probably will not change. Then at the pre-AP level, you will see the expectations there and how they may differ, especially from GT. The biggest thing I think that the pre-AP student should know in the 9th grade is that your homework load will be large. All right, so they need to be prepared to read 30 to 40 pages a night and come prepared for class each day. So that would be the biggest difference between level and pre-AP would be your homework load. Again, you'll see the differences there with the GT. It's more of an independent inquiry, thinking, and learning. And again, we have that at we offer that for freshmen and sophomores only. So anyway, and English really doesn't change through the 4 years. It pretty much stays the same. So, are there any questions?
The one I get the most is, if you're GT, how do you decide whether to take the GT class or the pre-AP?
Right. Well, what I usually say is that the GT class will prepare them for the AP exam, but I believe that the pre-AP also the pre-AP class encompasses a lot of what the student needs, and the fact that with the pre-AP courses that we do offer them all 4 years, whereas with the GT course, it really does stop at the sophomore level. And so, at the sophomore level, then they'll decide, do they want to continue and move to AP Lang, or do they want to move to level? So, and another question I've been asked several times is that if your student decides to try pre-AP, gets here and decides that it's not for them, the question has been posed to me, when may they drop? They may drop at the 3-week period and at the 6-week period, and then they're in there for the semester. So You have basically 6 weeks to decide, for your student to decide if that's the class for them.
My name is Emily Fusen. I'm the math lead teacher, and if we can help your student find the balance, then we've done our job. Because if you take all 7 AP classes or pre-AP classes, they're going to drag. You're not going to see your student in the person that they were when you brought them here. So, from 8th grade, we have 2 choices to look at. We have to decide, is your student in Algebra 1 or in Geometry? That happened at 8th grade, right here, right now. So if they're in regular 8th grade math, like me, normal Joe, we're going to start out in Algebra 1. The other students are currently in Algebra 1 right now at the middle school that they're in, like their course is Algebra 1. The next choice that you have to decide, well, that really wasn't a choice, it's already been decided. The kids did it. We have to decide, is it going to be level or pre-AP? If you'll notice, for both courses, they have the same question. The content, the curriculum is exactly the same, but what differs is at what level are we going to talk about the material. So for an Algebra 1, for example, you'll see that there's some multiple choice answers given, there's some answer, there's a table of information, like we're telling them what the answers possibilities could be. So that might be a sample question for a level student. With pre-AP, the multiple choice disappears. You have to read the question and come up with what that rule is. You have to explain, graph it, plot it, create a table, identify if it's a function, anything that the teacher could ask. She's going to want the students to be able to spill that out on their own. Whereas in level, I might pull out more information as we go. Same thing in geometry. Level, you'll notice on this specific question, has 1 variable, whereas this one has 2 variables. So the algebra that we're going to use behind the geometry is a lot more complex than pre-AP. In geometry, you remember those proofs? They're still here. They didn't go anywhere. However, in level, I call them baby proofs. We might have like three rows, 3 steps to solve. And if it's tricky, we might give them some like fill in the blank and like, hey, here's a hint. Go this way with your thinking. Whereas in pre-AP, I'm going to say, here's the question. You come up with the proof that works. Oh, and there might be 3 or 4 different ways to solve it. So any one of them works. You just have to tell me. In pre-AP, well, in both level and pre-AP, geometry is kind of like a foreign language in that there's all this vocabulary and stuff that they have to memorize and know backwards and forwards. In pre-AP, they have to be able to pull it out more readily, especially during that proof time. So they have to be able to memorize those definitions, whereas the level teacher might lead them a little bit more. So your algebra versus geometry is decided for you. You and your student need to decide, are you ready for the pre-AP? Are you like me and you prefer to stay level? And level is good, people. Level at KHS is good, I promise. It got me here. Even though I did fail Algebra 1 my freshman year and couldn't play soccer, but we're not gonna talk about that teacher, okay? It's definitely her fault, not mine. The next point that I want to talk to you about is this handout. I believe my compadres have already shared a little bit with you. You'll see that on the math section, we've got the different endorsements listed. There is a typo, I forgot, it's 5 years for math on the STEM thing. Be making that correction tomorrow, sorry. But you'll notice that all of them try to lead your student to Algebra 2. For college readiness, they want Algebra 2. So no matter where your student's going, we want them to try to get there if possible. We start in algebra, we move to geometry, that's the same for everybody. You'll notice underneath, there's a little box. Some of us might not be ready for Algebra 2, and that's okay. Maybe we're not mature enough, we need a little bit more time. Maybe you're crying every night doing your math homework with the student. You're like I am with my 6th grader, I get it. We're not all built for math, it's okay. Big tissue box, whatever. You might need math models before you take Algebra 2, but then there's still room to take it the senior year, okay? Now, if your student is ready for Algebra 2, that's that next box, and it opens us up to some more possibilities. And I'm sharing this with you, of course, not because you need to make these choices tonight, because let's be real, these are your choices, but next year I'm not going to be here to guide you. Mr. Warzak will be, and I'm here, like email me, whatever, we're good. But also your students' teachers will also go through this information with them at the end of each year. I got to speed up, here comes Miss Snap. So some of the next options down here, Algebra 3, if they're weak, crying. The next one is college algebra. If you can get your student to take college algebra their senior year, the good thing about that is if they pass the course and all is good, they get college credit at Lone Star, which counts as a dual credit course. You'll see at the bottom, the dual credit translates to a local college credit, which can translate to a local state credit for the state of Texas. Now, our other courses, AP courses like calculus and statistics, those courses, when you're finished with them at the end of the year, the students can take the national AP test, and when they test there and they get the correct score or higher, they can get AP credit, which transfers to colleges all over the United States, maybe more. So those are some things to think about as you're planning your child's rest of their life. No stress. So if you have any questions, please feel free to see me or any of the other crazy people who have walked through your life tonight. We're going to be in the Commons, hanging out at these posters. It's going to be fun.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Snap, and I am the academic lead teacher in charge of science. I've been at Kingwood since 1983, so I recognize some faces out there. And I think Kingwood High School is the best high school in the state of Texas, and I think my science department is the best science department in the state of Texas. I have some phenomenal teachers. So let me tell you what your options are for 9th grade. If your child is on the foundation plan with an endorsement other than STEM, they can either start with IPC or biology. Now, what would be the advantage in starting with IPC? Remember that slide they showed you about the end of course exams? There's 5 of them, and if they were to take biology their freshman year, algebra 1 and English 1, they're going to have 3 of those 5 exams their freshman year. But if they take IPC their freshman year and wait and take biology as a sophomore, then they can take 2 exams freshman year, 2 exams sophomore year, and 1 exam junior year. So that would be the advantage in waiting. Now the state has changed up, I don't know how many times in the last 10 years we have changed graduation plans. For a while they were encouraging everybody to take IPC as a freshman, and then the pendulum swung back and they wanted everybody to take biology as a freshman. Now we kind of have a choice. So that's one thing to consider there. If you're not on the STEM endorsement, so you might take IPC as a freshman and then go to biology as a sophomore, chemistry as a junior, and then you could take POP or physics. So what the heck is POP? POP stands for Principles of Physics. So whereas in most courses we have a level and a pre-AP option, in physics we actually have 3 options. POP is for the kids who are not necessarily that strong in math, but they still want to take the physics course, so they get a little more support with their math if they take POP. It still counts as a physics course as far as the colleges are concerned, but it's a little bit easier on the math-wise. Then there's also level physics, and then there's pre-AP physics. We don't recommend they take pre-AP physics unless they have already finished Algebra 2 and they're in pre-cal. But that's a ways down the road. So what does IPC stands for Integrated Physics and Chemistry. I like to think of it as more like Introduction to Physics and Chemistry. They actually get a semester of chemistry and a semester of physics. It's very helpful when they go to take chemistry. I was a chemistry teacher, and I could tell the kids who had IPC because they already knew the elements, they already knew the periodic table, they could understand how bonding took place, so it gives them a leg up there. It also gives them a year to mature, and there's a point somewhere in high school where a lot of kids start being able to think outside of more abstract and not always concrete. And so sometimes that happens about between sophomore and junior year. So if they can wait and take chemistry junior year, that's an advantage for some kids. Some kids get there earlier, it just depends on the kid. Now, if they're doing a STEM endorsement, the IPC won't count as one of their sciences. It would count as an elective credit, but they would probably want to start with biology. They would go biology, chemistry, physics, and an advanced science. If they're doing a STEM endorsement with science emphasis, they would actually need another advanced science. So one of those years they would double up on their science. We have kids that double up junior year and senior year. They take 6 or 7 sciences because they just love science, and that's great. So let me tell you about those advanced science courses. We have so many choices. We have a class called Aerospace Science. They build rockets. They start with little ones, and then they get a little more complicated and a little bigger, so that by the end of the year, they are actually building a rocket that's 6 foot tall, and it has to go up a mile. And they go to Fredericksburg, and they shoot them off with other classes from other schools, and the guys from NASA come and help judge it and give them pointers of how to make it better. We also, if you have a kid who's very interested in marine biology, we have a course called Aquatics. We have Anatomy, which can also be taken dual credit. We have Astronomy. Those kids go to the observatory. The school district actually has an observatory, and they get to go there once a month in the evening. And then we have Earth and Space Science, which does a lot of geology. And we have Forensics and Advanced Animal Science, which is also an ag credit. And in that class, they're working towards a certification for a vet tech. And then we have AP Biology, AP Chemistry, AP Environmental, and AP Physics. Now, in some of the other subjects, when they say they're taking like AP Calculus, well, that's the first year of calculus. In science, when you say you're taking AP Biology, that's Biology 2. When you're taking AP Chemistry, it's Chemistry 2. So they had to have taken, sometimes kids will enroll and they'll sign up for AP Biology as a freshman, and we're like, no, you got to take year 1 biology. AP Biology is year 2 biology. So I want to make sure you understand that when they're doing their Bridges Planner. AP Physics C, I think there's only 2 high schools in the district that offer that particular course. They have to be in calculus at the same time. So those are the kids who took Algebra 1 as a 9th grader in order to get to calculus by the time they're a senior. But a lot of those kids go on and be engineers. And that's a great class. They have a good time together learning. The difference between level and pre-AP. So I see a lot of kids coming in from middle school who took honors middle school science. I want to tell you that honors middle school science, just because they took that doesn't mean they're going to succeed greatly at high school pre-AP science. They're different. In middle school, you get kind of an overview of science, whereas in high school, they're much more content specific. So don't make your kid take pre-AP biology when they don't really like biology. They're going to have to really like that subject in order to take it, because they're going to have to spend a lot of time on it. They need to be strong readers. They need to like to read for information. Maybe they say that when you're in biology, it's almost like a foreign language. You learn so much new vocabulary. So they need to be strong in that. The other difference I see between middle school honors classes and high school honors classes is middle school tests are typically pretty straightforward. You know, here's a list of vocabulary words, memorize the definitions, regurgitate them on the test. In high school, those test questions are so much more application kind of questions. You're not going to just get a list of vocabulary words or a review sheet and you're going to memorize it and regurgitate it. You're going to have to know this and that and that and put them all together onto this test question. So your kid needs to be able to do that. If you have a student who really wants to take an honors course, but you don't think they're quite cut out for pre-AP biology, maybe they want to take pre-AP IPC. They still get the honors credit. It gives them another year for their brain to mature before they take pre-AP biology sophomore year, and that's definitely an option for them to choose. Okay, I talked really fast. Did I cover it all?
Most of it.
Okay, all right, I'll be down in the comments if you have any other questions.